Would you like fries for that?
Well, hello. This is Jumpstand Podcast. My name is ECAT, and we've got a new guest today in our studio. This is Todd. Hi, Todd.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you for coming. I really enjoy talks with you, and I hope this one is going to go smooth as all our talks before. Well, as a tradition, we usually ask our guests to introduce themselves and to give some information on what did you do professionally, also academically, and where you are right now. Go for it.
Okay. Well, I guess I've had two careers. One as a literary and philosophy scholar at university, focusing on German language thinkers and writers. And I've also been in marketing communications, and I've split about the last 30 years between those two things.
Not bad. For how long you've been there? I mean, communications and marketing, I believe that's the order, right?
Yeah. Well, it started marketing communications. Then I was working with German clients.
Yeah.
So Bear Plastics was a major client of mine at an agency. And I noticed when trying to talk to the Germans, I was not holding my own. So I went back to university, and I liked it there so much because who doesn't like being at the university? And so I decided to stay, did my master's and doctorate there, tried to get a professorship, but those things are becoming harder and harder to come by. So I came back into marketing communications, first in the US, but then 10 years ago I moved to Vienna and have had different roles where the balance between communications, marketing, and brand management has shifted.
Well, that's a quite long path. So how many years you are in marketing and communications, more or less, coming back?
Bracketing the pause for academia, I've been about 17 years.
That's quite an experience for sure. I'm pretty sure that you remember the times when we actually didn't have any proper tools to do the marketing before.
Yeah, I was there figuring it out, how to use social media, how to use web pages, how to use email blasts. And now, yeah, it's been a major evolution. Fortunately, I come out of the U.S., so we were fast adopters, and so that gave me a real insight into the laboratory.
Yeah, absolutely. Which state you're from?
Ohio.
Okay, and you were studying there also?
I studied first in Ohio, then in Pennsylvania, and then in Indiana.
Wow,
so,
that's cool.
All state universities. So with big faculty for the topics I was interested in.
So, I mean, philosophy and literature, it's kind of like close to the marketing in general, but on the other side, it's quite different. I would say it's more like philosophical, view about things and so on. Did it help you during your professional career to have the really strong background in literature and philosophy?
I think it's made really all the difference. It's maybe a competitive advantage that I never really talk about.
That's what I was thinking about, yeah.
But, I mean, it's taught me good storytelling from the literary study side, and then from the philosophy side, a lot of what I looked at is what stories move people, cultures, and societies, and why. So philosophy is a lot about asking questions, which is related to another skill that's important in marketing, which is strategic listening, asking questions. Why does this matter to people?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's quite, again, I think that you've got very special skills because you're the first person I see in marketing who actually has a background, like a broader background, right? So it's not like history, philosophy, it's deeper for me. It's like the vision from different nationalities, different times of different things. And as you said, I believe there was some contradictions behind that. But if you take the marketing, in the last 17 years, as just a timeline, right, with some of the main events or main changes in the direction, what exactly would you point out? Because I remember the times when branding became a thing. It actually was just recent. People started to talk about that a lot, and kind of marketing also, switched to a little bit different direction, became a little bit more complex. and people started to go into the beginning. Let's discuss what to start with, even if the company exists there for a long time. If we take like 10 years ago, again, storytelling, the social media, SMM became quite a popular thing and so on. People started to go into this direction. But also in Europe, it was not that popular. It's still not that popular, to be honest, right?
No, particularly in B2B.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I believe, an opportunity. It's kind of like a real pity that it's not there. But on the other side, for many companies, it's a huge opportunity, right? And for the marketing also specialists or professionals, it's an opportunity, in my opinion, to push B2B also to the more complex kind of like marketing path. So if you think about the 17 years of your experience, right, as the main things that you were focusing on in marketing, how you would divide it? What would you highlight?
I mean, there's the change in mentality of how to approach the discipline that is influenced by but not determined by the technological advancements. But then there's these major revolutions in the technology that we have at our disposal to do our job. And so the stuff that is sort of technology independent would be, what is your story? What is your purpose? And what is your brand equity as a company? And those things have been given more thought and reflection over the last 17 years.
Yeah.
Like, you used to just think, I make a washing machine, people wash clothes, good. But now it's this washing machine does something for you almost at a spiritual level, is what we try to convey with, the major installations we put into our homes.
Okay, give an example. Just give an example.
Well, I mean,
I know what you're talking about. We worked before together. So
I don't know what Whirlpool's strapline is.
Yeah.
But quiet and peaceful would be something that they would advertise, because they work on this like low noise, like washing machine. But that's not really related to why people wash clothes. They wash them to get clean.
Exactly,
but nevertheless, when you think about it as a fixture in your household, you don't want something in there, like a washing machine that gets out of balance and disturbs your tranquility.
Absolutely.
So you start thinking of benefits that are more holistic and not just product focused. Like, you try to make every purchase decision an affirmation of your personality.
But why? Have you?
I mean, philosophically, it's a search for meaning, right? You want to surround yourself with stuff that reflects that you're the person you want to project to the world.
So you believe that the customer changed?
I think the customer became aware that buying a thing is more than just buying a thing. So there's an American sociologist named David Reisman, and he talked about the standard packet.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody has to have in order to be considered a citizen who's arrived. So
okay. It's like Maslow pyramid. Yeah.
Yeah, you need a car that's slightly better than your neighbor's car.
Yeah.
You need your house to look
good.
slightly nicer than your neighbor's house. And whatever products that the various brands can market that facilitate this idea of keeping up with the Joneses or getting ahead of the Joneses will have its brand equity if it makes good on its promise.
But the final result, it's the same as it was like 5-10 years ago. It's getting more and more complex to promote it, basically, right? The trends are changing, generation is changing also, probably they demand something else. I find it interesting because it means that marketing kind of like processes and the approach is always going to be agile, for sure, but also speaking of, the person who used to work for real manufacturing and so on, which is actually a little bit dinosaur world, I would say, in marketing, digitalization, any type of AI agents, it's absolutely different planet for them right now, right? I've seen your work. You've done amazing work, in my opinion. And I know how not easy to also adjust not only what organization is demanding from inside, and you convince them, but also from what's happening outside world, right? So where the customers are, the competition is, and so on. It's like, it's not easy for marketing. And I see the change a lot. Do you remember your first job?
Yeah, my first job was in a marketing agency in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And like I said, my main client was Bear Plastics, but I also had some consumer-facing brands like American Eagle, Transitions lenses, these lenses that change color with the daylight, however much sun.
It's a good one. Expensive as hell.
Yeah, but the part of what I realized about this is that this is a false divide between B2C and B2B. Like, everybody just wants to hear a good, self-affirming story.
Yeah.
And, I constantly, I just did it last week with my team. I showed them a clip of Mad Men, this show about an advertising agency in the 1960s. Mm-hmm. And it's about the time when, for health reasons, nobody could make claims about cigarettes anymore related to health. So, and so everybody was struggling. Well, so what are we going to say about these cigarettes? And the hero of the show says, well, we're selling Lucky Strikes. How do you make them? And it was explained to him that one step in the making of cigarettes is toasting them. And his slogan was, it's toasted. Okay. And that made people, like, his philosophy behind that is, whatever you're doing, whatever you're buying, you want to feel what you're doing is all right and that you're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. And toasted is toasty. You feel this warmth or this sort of being in a safe environment, even though you're doing something completely unhealthy. And so he got around this health claims ban with something that was just, nobody was saying.
Yeah. But I think this type of cases, actually, it's kind of like one story success. You can't use the same framework for everything, unfortunately, or maybe it's good. Probably it's not that bad, to be honest. If everyone would use, the same framework, it would be not that interesting anymore. But the fact that there is some framework still existing, especially nowadays, more we get into this social media world. I don't know how deep you are inside of the social media as the promotion channel or advertising channel or maybe sales channel so far, because your case, it's B2B mostly, right? Business. Yeah. And it's quite complex. I remember the times when we were trying to convince, people just register on LinkedIn, working in the company. Yeah. And that's awful. That's really not awful, but sad that we're still there, right? Even though it's a great channel to advertise your business. It doesn't matter what size the business is, right? So you want the employees to promote it from inside, but you need to convince them, and it's a change. That's the change we push to. Do you feel that social media is a lot right now, like much more than it was like a few years ago?
The problem I'm always facing with social media is it's mostly noise and not a lot of signal at the time, because the KPIs are still, for many companies, attached to weekly posts or likes, which just makes your employees into click cows. And when you do an analysis, you see that 80% of the people approving or engaging with your post are working for your company anyway. So that doesn't bring you any further.
Depends, right? It depends. Because if we're talking about medium-sized companies, there are different sizes still, right? If we're taking the small, medium-sized company, it might make a difference. And some of them, they're using LinkedIn actually as the main channel to gain sales, to get sales. And it works. But some companies which are medium-sized and like closer to big companies and big corporations, I believe for them, it's just the part of branding, probably, or part of the marketing program that you should just apply. That's it. That's the way the world works, right? You should show your last stories, last changes. You should show that you're active, and your employees, of course, employees of your company promote that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you completely. So KPIs are vague in this case, really. But I believe in some cases they exist. They exist. You just can't grab it right away. You don't see the result right away.
I mean, what we started to do when you and I worked together, and what we're doing at my current
Professionally,
company.
we were professionally together.
Right. But is really set up a detailed brand advocacy plan. So who are our experts and what other topics? And when we have something that fits these people, we furnish them, depending on like their level of seniority, importance, busyness, whatever. We have a DIY kit so they can generate content and post it from their own profiles. Or we do the whole thing for, the C-suite people. And that gets way higher engagement from people beyond our company than if you're just posting from the corporate channel.
That's good.
And so then but nevertheless, we try to give visibility to these things by engaging with the employee posts via our corporate pages. I wouldn't say that any of these techniques are foolproof or the key to filling the sales funnel. But if you the more personalized you make it, I think the more
Engagement
chance you have getting people aware of what you're doing and actually considering doing business with you if they're in the right space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I also seen many startups or the companies where the brand, basically the CEO or the main person of the company or the owner of the company, right? Different sizes. And it's quite complex to build a brand out of your name. But when you're there, that's the real good instrument or tool to promote anything your company does. That's for sure. It's kind of like a trust to one person opinion or something like that. That's really, really good. Well, it's been an interesting transition recently because this year I'm talking about that constantly. It's a AI agent year, right? And at the beginning of the year, no one actually expected how it's going to change the world.
Right.
Because I've heard about that. I studied that. I've seen people who actually were developing different softwares already at that point, like a year ago and so on. But now it's like a blooming period of time. It's too many options on the market, an enormous amount of startups, people just entering this world. They're trying to program whatever AI related, right? And I see a threat there. So it's not only the potential good software is going to come or agents going to come on the market, but also potentially a lot of mess it's going to create around, right? So how do you feel about the change and these new tools that the market provides? Do you use anything in marketing right now?
Yeah, we use 3 AI tools for different purposes.
Tell me, very interesting.
We use Copilot for just general productivity and text-to-text repurposing. It's only as good as the prompter, but it's if you're a good prompter, it's a major time benefit, a major efficiency benefit, particularly as we continue to build agents into it. Like we have a tone of voice agent so that the communications going out from the company sound like the same person wrote them rather than schizophrenic in nature.
Yeah.
Right? and so,
yes. Or different people, let's say, yes.
And then we use Canva for image generation or image modification. And we use HubSpot both as...
What is HubSpot?
HubSpot is both a social media planning tool, but it's also has like an agentic interface so that you can put tone of voice into that so that your social media posts sound uniform. And it also has a CRM system built into it, but don't ask me much more about that because that's not in my bailiwick of responsibility.
HubSpot. I need to check it out, really. Have you heard, Andrew, about HubSpot? Here you go. We're very, very behind the AI.
Well, we were using Hootsuite for similar tasks before that. And like you were just saying, it's a battle for the first 3 places in these specific tools right now.
You try different things. Something is very good but non-affordable. The other things are very good and affordable, and it works for you well. For the others, it's not that good. Yeah, so it's like you should try different things. But I feel, because we're working a lot in this area, right? I feel that there are too many tools. So, and it's a lot
agree.
of talks about that. That
Yeah.
people, they don't have time actually to acquire the knowledge how to even, not only how to use the tool, what do we have right now on the market? So you don't have enough of speed to acquire everything that we generate per second. Again, it's too many tools and agents flood the market right now, or got the grants or any type of money from the government. I'm pretty sure that probably maybe 20%, 30% out of them will work, really work. Everything else is just, well, we'll see. I don't
It's
trust.
riding the hype right
Exactly.
now.
So we're kind of like paying for the trends and creating this bubble,
Yeah.
which I don't find that economically correct or smart to do.
I mean, I don't really have an answer or a response to that other than we're in a sort of paradox because we want to be quick adopters, but we want to be cautious adopters,
Yeah.
which means slow adopters.
Exactly.
So we want to be fast and slow at the same time. And I mean, I'm not as scared of AI as many people are.
Do you have people who are really scared about that?
That I know personally?
Yeah.
Not really,
good.
because the people I try to work with and surround myself with are people who are willing to give something a try.
Yeah, that's good.
And so if you're not into that, then we're probably not going to be aligning on which AI tools we should use and how to use them.
Absolutely, yeah.
But like in chess, there's this term of going off book. And that's like when everybody who loves chess gets really excited because every, master's chess match is recorded and every move has been noted, but occasionally a move gets made that no one's ever made before. And so that's just time for everybody to rejoice that they've seen something novel. And I think that's what the human still is capable of providing.
Mm-hmm.
Like AI can write books like all the books that have ever been written.
Exactly.
But
yeah.
it can't write a book like a book that's never been written.
Yeah, that's
and,
true.
And we're still capable of doing that. So if we see what is our, contribution to the machine-human collaboration, and we understand what the machines can do, then I think we can really be productive.
We can,
Yeah.
for sure. But it's like, this, it's like giving the weapon to the monkey, It's either going to work or just like work as a stand for the monkey or somebody else, or it's going to be used by the monkey and so on. So you never know. You never know which direction it's going to go.
No, and I mean, I get in fights with Copilot a lot, where I'm just like, no, I've explained that you're doing something that I said I don't want more than once. But I also find myself trying to maintain a certain level of politeness because if Copilot or its AI comrades take over, we're gonna. It'll pay to have been nice to them.
I hope. Well, I hope so. I've got the same with Cloud and ChatGPT. I always say, please.
Yeah, I always am putting. I'm not forgetting my manners when I engage with them.
This is interesting. Actually, we're trying to make it human a little bit. It's never gonna happen. But let's see. Maybe it's gonna be polite to us.
I don't know if I'm trying to make it human. I'm trying to. It's more like self-preservation.
Yeah.
Right. Because if I'm wrong, and if we're going to have AI overlords at some point, they'll remember me as the guy who was always nice to them.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I should mention that you've got also an experience of being a comedian, and you can feel that you're talking to a person who actually has a background in literature and also a good sense of humor. So it's very important. That's cool. I think it's a great mix. Well, I wanted to ask you because you were working for big producers, production or manufacturers of different type of products, and got an international experience also. When first time you remember that companies started to talk about digitalization? Do you remember those times? It's not that long ago.
I would say around 2015, it became a must-have.
Yeah.
It used to be a differentiator, maybe from the dawn of when the first release of the iPhone in 2007 to 2015. People were still just, I mean, that's when the internet was still nice, right? And there was a cat that said Old Long Johnson or something. His purr sounded like that, and everybody would talk about that for weeks.
Right.
And then people were dumping buckets of ice over themselves. So the internet was still in its fun phase. But by 2015, if you didn't have a digitalization roadmap, then you were preparing to be left behind or become obsolete, I think. But digitalization has a lot of the pitfalls you've already mentioned about AI. What are the right tools? How do you stop a proliferation of tools where everybody you work with is going to be like, oh no, something new I got to integrate into my workflow. So I don't think we've arrived yet at the smart way to approach digitalization.
Absolutely. But again, we've got AI right now, right? So that's where the funnel is growing. And I've got the feeling the consequences are much more complex than we can actually observe right now from that point. Because basically you've got the roadmap in 2017, let's say, right? For the following 5-10 years. It's changed so much already. It's in the process, it's constantly updating, right? And we are talking about years. It's not something that you can change right now in the roadmap or substitute. It's something that you've done. It's not either relevant anymore, no need to use, because there are other tools came into the game, right, which actually substitute your work, basically. So this we cancel, we invest in a new tool, and there is no kind of security that it's going to be done on time, especially for big producers. So I think it's my personal opinion that they will balance at one point, and they will say, we all got in big production, CRMs, ERPs, and so on. So probably these masters will master their platforms and applications, and probably going to sell the proper architecture of the different level. But I am pretty sure that they struggle also a lot. The software developers. So that level, they see that the market is changing, things are changing, but still, we've got many platforms with very old interfaces. Extremely old production management systems. Some of them, it's like Python. Really, you see the black screen and some green letters appearing. Yeah. It's really so bad. And of course, in 21st century, from today's perspective, you just look what AI can do and you think, how we didn't get that there yet? How we didn't actually make it possible for producers to make it faster? I've got one friend, he's working for big manufacturing also, and he says that to find specific contact, I need to literally put some codes. I need to know the codes. It's not just searching by the last name. You need to go into the system and put some digits with the letters just for a system to figure out that you're looking for the contact. And then you can search for the name, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me. I've been in production environments where you see the consoles on the factory floor, and you still see the screen for Windows 95. Yeah. So,
wow.
So I don't know. I mean, what's your answer? How are we going to get?
Well, that's the question. And to be honest, I've been on the market of digitalization for the last 2 years. I'm just at the very beginning, and I see a lot of companies, medium-sized, small companies, small entrepreneurs also, they still have Excel sheets.
Yeah.
And there are so many affordable platforms that they could have used to get to the really proper efficiency. And unfortunately, we're not there yet, which is, again, great opportunity for many other companies offering these services. Other thing, speaking of marketing and communication, for me, it's always a picture. I just got it in my head, right? Either the advertisement or the brand name or the logo and so on. I always visualize. And today tools actually can give you an opportunity to create whatever.
Yeah.
Starting from logo and brainstorm with you on the branding and so on. How do you think it's going to affect different marketing agencies? What is your feeling about that? Because you use AI agents, you use some tools also, right? And you don't involve other marketing agencies in this for these questions, right?
No, we have a fairly robust in-house capability to generate graphics, to modify photos, to manage our own corporate visual language. It's hard. A lot of it is just improv, right? Do we have something from the last photo shoot that kind of works? Yes. What needs to be done? Well, then AI can help make it
And
more
adjust
fit
it.
for purpose for the new context you want to put these photos in.
Yeah.
I've always liked working with illustrations for a bunch of reasons, but first and foremost is you can create the customer world exactly as you think the customer wants to see it, rather than if you work with illustration, I think there's an openness there that photography misses. Like people will see a real person, say, either I like that person, that's for me, or I don't like that person, that's not
The
for me.
vision, right? It's
Yeah.
more like, yeah.
And AI can help a lot with the, like if you have a house style but need a new illustration, you can give it an example of some of the core images you have and say, modify it for this, or I'd like to see it in this context.
But it doesn't mean that you go for the manufacturing or the, building up or constructing this, right?
Right.
This house. It means that it's just a reference that you can create.
Correct.
Because probably by just talking, texting, and so on, people would not understand what you want, right?
Right. I mean, you have to have a first reference, and that first reference usually gets made by something that is mostly human, but is really creating something original. But once you have, say, your visual vocabulary, you have more freedom to play with AI to expand the illustrative. I don't want to make this all a pitch about illustration. You can do the same thing with photographs.
Many other things.
It's just been my personal approach to work more with illustrations, because another reason is it protects IP. Like if you're selling something highly technical or engineered, you don't want to show the details of your work so
absolutely.
carefully. But the world between illustration and photography is also something that sort of maps nicely onto this divide between digital native salespeople versus legacy salespeople.
Yeah.
The legacy salespeople want photographs of the product. The digitally enabled and digitally friendly salespeople want to create a world that the customer recognizes herself or himself in.
Right, yeah. Well, it's on one side, we're talking about efficiency. So all the digital tools, they bring efficiency, right? And there should be not just a person behind, the person behind, which has an experience and can actually make the whole map or infrastructure out of or let's say the program out of the vision, right?
Yeah.
Which is correct. But also slowly, but we still got the substitutors by AI, like content creators can be gone in most of the companies. You've got the framework at one point, you've got the standard illustrations. AI can actually generate or follow this rule.
Yep.
Endless. So we are talking about efficiency, cutting heads efficiency, right? Then the SMM, social media marketing, where you actually got a plan and you've got enormous amount of tools that can post it automatically, check it automatically. Again, if it's your company AI agent, AI platform, then it basically does exactly what your company needs. Maybe it won't be able to post anything online because it doesn't have an access to the internet. But it's in 1 year after all the employees put the information from the department, it can make quite an amazing work.
Yep.
And increase efficiency. So on one side, we're saying that it's only about efficiency, and people, the role of different positions is changing a little bit, or expanding in more strategic way. On the other side, I see that it substitutes real people, and it's coming, right?
Yeah.
It's not something. I'm not trying to do this like trendy stuff when everyone is saying that AI is going to substitute or digitalization substitute real people. It's the question of the future specializations and professions. So it's the matter for me. I question myself and my education, my experience, if it's enough.
Yeah.
I really believed 1 year ago that I should go for real programming. So I should go and gain the skills, how to code things as a manager, because soon, it's still my opinion, soon the managers will have to do that. Because in every department, you're going to have a strong digital influence or AI influence. You should be capable of figuring out which platform is actually working the best.
Yeah.
Or when it appears, and it appears overnight, you should figure out immediately if it's going to work for you or not. And you should either jump on it first or let it be, for somebody else. That's very important. It's a managerial decision, in my opinion.
And do you, you said you thought about learning to code. Do you still think that's
relevant?
A necessity? Is that still something you want to do?
Different levels, right? Because before it was a necessity, in my opinion. Now we've got different platforms that actually can code for you. So now it's more about bio and prompting. If you are capable of writing down what exactly is needed or what you want your platform to do, then it's great. So you should learn how to put the words in the correct way. But it also shows how fast is this development. So what we're going to learn today, it's going to change completely tomorrow. So it means that we are going to be capable of more in the future, very near future. So let's talk at the end of 2026, because I'm pretty sure it's going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I've got most of my friends who are somehow either working in this area or industry closely or very far, but still touching it a little bit. Everyone started to use the agents to code their own platforms. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, if it's going to come on the market in 6 months, I don't know. It's like, why would we even do that in such amount? There should be some maybe limitations, because quality, it's the main question that everyone has right now. Everyone says that the quality is going to be extremely low. We will feel it. And feel it a lot. So the main skill that you should create and develop is to search for the right tool for yourself.
Yeah, the listeners need to ask themselves, where they're at in their career. Because I think a lot about the state of work, because AI has brought with it a lot of counterintuitive developments. Mm-hmm. So you would think, first of all, it was the sort of knowledge workers who have been reduced most quickly. And it's the junior knowledge workers or the junior to mid knowledge workers who are proving to be more redundant than the senior people. Whether or not that's just the senior people are more in a position to protect their jobs, or they have developed good knowledge to some of them have earned their place there. But the question is, and I don't know what you think about this because I don't have an answer. I have a few hypotheses. How will we get senior people in the future?
It's not a question, because I feel it a lot. It's kind of like they are jumping over. They're kind of assistant work is covered by the robots, right? So everything is automated. And they already, with their mentality, new generation is jumping over. And it's a problem because experience is needed. I understand that probably not everyone has the same experience as we do. Right? We one generation, we've seen this transformation. We're very adjustable. We really can bend to any conditions. We learn fast. That's true. Our parents, they struggle a lot, of course, but God bless, they also not at the age that they need to even, push themselves beyond too much, right?
Yeah.
So it's good for them. But the new generation also, they are kind of like looking into the situation only from one angle. I've heard my friend's son, he was at that time 10 years old, I guess, few years ago, like 2 years ago. So he's 12 today. He once was doing the project with his classmates, and he just absolutely casually dropped that, well, we can create our own AI. And I was like, wow, oh, what do you mean? I thought it's a joke or something. No, he was serious. He was absolutely serious.
And
because
he did.
They've done something, for sure. It's quite basic, but I couldn't even consider as an adult person, being in this area more or less, in this environment and talking to these people, to even drop that by accident, somewhere. But for them, it's casual.
Yeah.
So he's going to be on the market in 6 years?
Yeah.
It's absolutely different type of people and professionals.
Yeah.
Of course, they would not consider it to have any assistant work or do anything manual, let's call it that way. Not very manual, but still. So I still believe that experience is important everywhere. It just depends on the maybe amount of these people who have this experience, percentage in the company. It depends on the company again.
Yeah.
In production, I would like to have really senior people on every stage or every department to gate some of the processes. But in the maybe productive startup environment, I would like to have really motivated newcomers. They are more creative. They've got more... They are not maybe more bold, I would say it that way. That's why they create very nice masterpieces, really good ones in absolute different industries.
Yeah, I mean, but there's this personal development that could go missing, right? If you're the junior student support worker, and then you're just brilliant, and then you're the director of the department,
CEO.
You're missing a lot of the personal development phase, I think, in terms of how to make people or make thinking machines work together, work
Absolutely.
well with each other.
But maybe your learning process is changing. Organizations are changing, right? Demands are different right now. Company needs fast reaction, faster than we could have imagined 10 years ago, really much faster, because things are changing extremely fast. So it's, I think the skills that they should probably develop, it's be more selective, fast in processing the information, very quick, be always updated, upgraded, and so on, and persistent. If you've got all these skills or got the talents like that, for example, I believe you might be very successful. But you're right, experience.
You know what I haven't heard a lot of talk about, and I remember, like I said, 10 years ago, when digitalization was becoming a must-have, that companies like Google, one of their perks was giving you 10% or 20% of your working time as slow time or personal project development. I don't know if they've abandoned it because people were just not working or what, but at a theoretical level, it's a really good idea, and I think it's something that should be revived if it isn't being practiced in corporations anymore, because taking slow time will make you faster when it's time to be in fast time.
Yeah, that's true.
And I feel like, the promise of all this technology is to lift the burden off the human, but really it's done is say, now you got more time, and here's another technological tool so that you can maximize it.
Yeah, that's true. So you've got more anxiety, actually, it's just growing.
So from my academic background, I would say 10 to 20% of the time we should be mandating people read books on paper.
Yeah.
Just so that, I forget what it was. It was a teacher, an art teacher. One of his assignments was he forced his art history students to just sit in front of a painting for 3 hours. And
It's been in some movie.
yeah, it
I
was in a
remember also.
podcast or something like that. And the takeaway was, at first you think you're going crazy. Then your restlessness starts to subside, and then you start seeing things and connections that you never would have seen if you hadn't forced yourself to bring that level of focus to bear on, a composition. And you can do that also with, even if you're just trying to get people to buy more industrial gas cylinders or more packaging for pet food or whatever.
Great examples.
Yeah.
Great examples. Well, it's really magical work what you do. I think about like marketing people. I always thought that because I was dealing with either distributors, like big distributors, of something not fancy, something not nice or sexy or so on, or the production also quite complex things, and they are not something that so easy sellable. I'm not talking about big brands of cars. It's not that. It's more like something that passively is used by the society, but society never knows that.
Right.
And I always thought that from sales perspective, it depends, right? It depends where the company is on the market, in which position, how big they are, and so on. But from marketing, I was always admiring these people because basically you guys are doing something, you're trying to do something tasty out of anything you work with, so out of brand you're dealing with. And it's always so complex. I think, your work I've seen, and I believe that was the most colorful transition or the showcase of the very heavy metal industry.
Yeah.
And that was a conversion for me. For me, it was an opening. That's what I felt. I believe because you came from the States also, right? You've got the background and brought it to Europe from there. So it was a step up. And many things you changed in the perception, even for me personally and professionally. So I think,
Thanks.
I think it's great things you're doing. Keep going. And I hope that, the digitalization and the tools, they will only support and help with the efficiency. So increase the speed, but I hope it's not going to put more responsibility on your shoulders, because I feel that sometimes I just can't stop. I'm like, wow, that's cool.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Can you do this? And you just can't stop. And at one point it's just too much. Now I'm working on to be more selective, in things or tools I'm using, and professionals also I'm talking to, and so on. So I hope it's not gonna, overload. Well, I'm just, as you see, trying to wrap up a little bit our conversation. I believe we talked a lot about the organizational kind of like points, right, in different companies. Also the resistance of the change.
Yeah.
Change management, it's huge. It's very complex. It's amazing work, but I would rather not do it, especially nowadays and now times at the production, to be honest. So I understand people who resist a lot and trying to keep things the way they were because they are working, but it's really very short vision, and that's sad for some of the businesses. However, I wanted to ask you, because your kids are growing up also, and they're growing, probably you're already thinking what type of skills they've got or talents, which direction they will go, and so on. I would like to ask you to recommend a new generation of professionals what to focus on, actually. How to, what to do, where to go, what education to get maybe, or if we take only marketing and communication area, just, give a little bit of educational speech, what to focus on. You can talk to the camera if you wish.
Okay, young people. I'm torn between what has sort of become like conventional wisdom, which is do those things that will not be so easily replaced, like being a plumber or working in a restaurant. Those are things that are pretty far away from robots, being able to do it. The robot that Melania Trump trotted out recently, I don't think is going to be able to do a good, smoked barbecue anytime soon.
Yeah, not yet.
or fix a toilet. But you can earn a good living, and if you're sort of extrinsically motivated by that, that'll work, right? And I think these trades will only the maybe not gastronomy, but like skilled trade people will earn more and more as time passes. But for people who have sort of intrinsic motivation, they want to be creative. They feel they have some personal story to tell and want to do it through a medium or a vehicle that could be a large corporation. Then you have to concentrate on finding those off-book moments that I mentioned earlier of what am I adding, and how am I combining elements in the marketing mix, whether it's the channels or it's the basic approach to the why behind why we exist as a company. How can I present that in a way that is concise and relevant to the people I'm trying to reach, and in a way that a machine can't simply conjure up by doing large data mining? Like, don't you have to train your human spark, to see things that are more than what large language models are able to harvest from all of the knowledge of humanity in seconds. Like each new person, it sounds a little cheesy, but each new person on the earth can play an additive role to the human experience.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
You have to be focused on it, and you have to try to pull it out, and you have to be ready to be rejected over and over again. That we don't like that. That's too crazy. But through trial and error, you find your voice and you find, your medium that you want to work in. Yeah, like my son wants to be either a Lego designer or a comic book writer. Those are things that I think, I've seen AI videos. AI is not yet there where it's going to be writing fan favorite Batman arcs to stories or whatever. Yeah.
This is great. Well, basically you learn the applicable skills. So basically something like craftsic, right? So we're going into the craft.
Yeah.
Keep emotionally intelligent. So keep it on the high level.
Yep.
Remain human, right? And find your way, be resistant, and be persistent. This is cool.
Yeah.
This is great. Good. I think it's a good point to focus on. And also be capable to code something just in case, right? Who knows when robots, doesn't matter. Thank you, Todd. That was a great conversation. Do you want to add something?
No, I mean, I really enjoyed it too. I've tried to sound as hopeful and optimistic as possible, but also be aware I'm full of dread for the future, and I hope that I will be able to guide my children and guide and help anybody else figure out how to make the relationship to digital tools, AI tools, a productive one and not an adversarial one, because it's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So
we have to stay there for sure.
And it has a lot of potential for good. And let's talk again in a year to see what happens.
It's a great conclusion. Thank you again for your time. Yes,
Thank you.
And let's talk after 1 year of this great development. Thank you again. It was Jumpstand Podcast. Subscribe, comment, be active, just remember our channel. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.